Welcome back. In this lesson, we are going to talk about gesture drawing. In the last lesson, we created this proportional hand drawing. First, we learned about proportion and its relationships. We learned about observation. Then we learned about contour, line. And finally, we learned about value. And doing the value, we learned about cross-hatching, stippling, and shading. Now, for our next lesson, we're going to start learning about gesture drawing. So you'll need a fresh sheet of paper, and on the back of your fresh sheet of paper, please write your name. My name is Mr. Lundgren. So I'm going to write my first name, Mr., my last name, Lundgren, and then my grade and section. So this is section 1A, let's say. And just write your section down there. Now, on the back of your page, we're going to learn and write the definitions for gesture and gesture drawing. So in your packet you already have in front of you, you're going to write the word gesture. Now, a gesture is the shape of a body or body part that may convey meaning. And in class, I'll pause and talk about different body gestures and ways that we can show gesture with a body. Okay? The next part of the lesson is gesture drawing. So gesture drawing is just what it sounds like. It's the drawing of a gesture. So it is a fast, sketchy drawing that captures a gesture. So if you think of all the times in life, if you wanted to draw someone as they're walking, as they're jumping, as they're throwing a baseball, you would have to catch that very quickly. All right? And you wouldn't be able to sit around and be like, oh, no, wait, just hold still while you're throwing that ball so I can draw you. The idea is that you draw something very fast. Okay? Now, the method for this is there's multiple methods. There's innumerable ways of how you could go about this. But when I teach gesture drawing, these are the things I like to teach. I like to teach the concept of the envelope. Okay, so I'm just going to draw a line here. I'm going to do step 1, envelope. Envelope. Okay, an envelope means create a shape around the object. Shape around object. So for example, if I've got this hand and I want to make this as a gesture drawing, I like to look at different points. Like here's the wrist, here's the tip of the finger, here's the tip of the knuckle, here's the tip of this finger and this finger and this finger and this finger, and maybe down here. And I kind of do some dots on the main points, and then I draw a shape around that, like the main points, kind of the area that the drawing is going to fit inside of. Okay, so a shape around the object. Step 2, I like to think of then structure. This is where the idea of sections and bone come in. So like we did on the drawing of the bones for our thumb, we said, well, here's the first bone, here's the second bone, here's the third bone. So I like to think of bones. And this comes in later. More bones come in when you're like thinking of skeletal, like how the skeleton is moving and like the spine and the legs are all connected later. So I like to think of bones. Then I like to think of sections, like arms and legs, and kind of draw in the bones of those sections and then put sections around the bones. Okay? For example, if we were looking here, I might say here's the thumb bones, here's my knuckle, and there's a bone and another bone and another bone this way. And then I would kind of use my 3D vision and say here's a bone, and here's a bone over here. And I would kind of draw those in just so I can get a feel for where they are. Then I would say, oh, here's a section, here's a section, here's a section, just like our robot hand. Here's a section and a section and a section. And so I'm breaking it into the structure, bones and sections. Next, then I think about contour line. And once I've got those bones and sections in, then I say, well, if this is the section, here's the line that goes around that section. Here's the line that goes around that section. Okay? Then, of course, contour line around shapes. And then 4 is, of course, always going back and observing. And while you're observing, not being afraid to make changes. But all of this whole process should take, depending on what you're drawing and how big it is, this whole process should maybe take 5 minutes. Okay, that obviously can be adjusted as you get into more extended contour drawing or gesture drawings, or you're doing full body poses. You can decide to hold these for more times, but sometimes it's maybe even just a minute, just really, 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 really quick. Okay, so finish writing these down on your paper. Good. Now that you're done writing those down on your paper, I'll do the demonstration of what you should have it look like. Take the front of your paper and just carefully divide it into 4 sections. And you're going to make 4 gesture drawings. Okay, I'm going to slide my page over and down a little bit just so we can use this section here, and there's enough room to see my hand. So if I just tape this paper down so it doesn't run away from me. If I hold my hand here and I say, okay, gesture is maybe I'm going to grab for something this way, or I'm going to pick something up this way. How does that hand look different as I start turning and bending it? Maybe I cramp my fingers together. Maybe I act like I'm clawing something. If I take this hand, here's my envelope. It goes up this way, down that way, over this way. Okay, so I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to say, here's the bottom of my wrist. Here's my knuckle on this side. Here's my knuckle way up at the top. Here's knuckle, finger, pinky, thumb, palm of the hand. So I've got this envelope real quick. Then, if I think of bones, my thumb bone is like from here to here, here to here, here to here, and that's where my thumb should end. Knuckles, here to here, here to here, there. This one, my bone would be actually back here, coming up this way, down, back here, up, over, down, and from here, up, over, down, and then here's my meaty part of my hand. So right now it doesn't look like much. It's some lines and some shapes. Now I start getting into the sections. Okay, here's the swoop of my thumb. Here's the knuckle section, and it curves down into the base down here. Then the top of my thumb is like this, and my nail. Underneath here, I've got the line of my palm that kind of comes this way, and I've got my index finger here. I've got section for my index finger here, section for my index finger here, section for my index finger here. Now this section I can barely see. In here, it's overlapped so much that I see my knuckle and my index finger over here, my middle finger kind of curving down here. Now, looking at that, I adjust and say, well, now it's like this index finger isn't big enough, so I need to change that to be a little bit bigger. Here's that curve, and underneath here, here's like the little bend in my knuckle. Okay, now underneath, I see that I've got the curve of my fingers. Sorry, I'm bending my fingers the wrong way now. This finger comes here, lines up in there, comes down here, and attaches to my palm. And from where I'm looking, I see the finger kind of going up in there. Then I got my last finger down here, my pinky. It's coming up, over, down, and I've got my like pinky nail like right there. And then this piece I can barely see because it's like under my thumb. And then my other finger is coming down this way into my wrist. My wrist is coming down here, and this wrist is coming up and over there. Now I look back at my thumb and I'm like, oh God, this thumb is horrible. It comes up this way and comes up over this way, and it like overlaps my finger. Now, the truth of the matter is I probably moved my thumb since I started. But like there, that's a more accurate description of my thumb, and my thumbnail is about here. Now, this does not look lovely. Okay, it's kind of a cramped up, smunched up finger job there. But it's a quick, sketchy thing. It probably took me a minute or two to do that. Now, if I do something else, let's say I go like this, well then how am I going to fit this into this space? Lines, moving this over here. Okay, if I go here and I've got this fingers, you know, maybe I have my envelope from here to here. Here's my two knuckles, the bottom of my hand, my thumb's out here, and my palm ends there. So I've got this kind of general shape. All right, then I kind of say, well, my first two knuckles are here. I've got like bone, bone. This one is like finger, bone, 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 and it's like way too wide, but that's all right. We're gonna work it out. One, bone, bone, bone. My thumb is like way down here. Bone, 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 and here's the side of my hand. So then I start thinking sections. I'm like, okay, here's my palm. Already I'm seeing that my palm is not long enough. It should be like down here. Okay, and then I've got like this section of my knuckle, and this section of my knuckle is taller. And then I've got this swoop down here. I can actually see the other section of my finger coming back down here. And I've got section here, and the section here, and the section over here. Then over here, this one comes down a little bit, and the sections are skinnier because it's my pinky, and this section over here, and this section over here. Okay, and then this is coming down. It bulges out because I'm resting my hand on the table, so it kind of bulges out funny. And then if I wanted to, I could like say, well, here's my knuckle, and I've got these big bony things coming down here. This one swoops down, and I've got this section of my thumb is about there, and I've got this other section here, which brings me to my knuckles, and then this curved thumb over here, and my thumbnail there. And then I might say, you know, these are actually smaller, and there we go. All right, it's a little bit too chunky, but not too bad. Okay, and this is a very rough, quick sketch of filling in. Okay, so I've done 2 examples of gesture drawing, and on the back of our paper we had the different gesture drawing definitions. So today you are going to draw 4 different gesture drawings on the front of your page, and make sure that your definitions are copied on the back of your page. And those definitions are the learning goals of what I would like to see you do and how the process should go that you're going to follow today.